Hello, I'm Enigmadness, your narrator for this chilling journey through the skies and into the depths of the ocean. Today, we explore the tragic and mysterious world of aviation disasters that ended in the vast and unforgiving ocean waters. Join me as we uncover the top 10 airplane crashes in the ocean, each one a haunting reminder of the fragility of human flight and the power of nature. 1. Malaysia Airlines Flight MH370. The Great Disappearance. On March 8, 2014, Malaysia Airlines Flight MH370 vanished while en route from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing. The Boeing 777 lost contact with air traffic control less than an hour after takeoff, last making contact over the South China Sea. The aircraft was carrying 239 passengers and crew members, despite extensive search efforts covering millions of square kilometers in the Indian Ocean. The main wreckage has never been found. Initial search efforts focused on the South China Sea, but satellite data later indicated the plane had turned westward, crossing the Malay Peninsula and into the Andaman Sea. Further analysis suggested the aircraft continued on a southern trajectory over the Indian Ocean until its fuel was exhausted. Pieces of debris confirmed to be from MH370 have washed ashore on various islands and coastlines in the western Indian Ocean, but these fragments have provided limited information about the fate of the aircraft. The disappearance of MH370 remains one of the greatest mysteries in aviation history. Theories abound, ranging from technical failure and pilot hijacking to more speculative ideas like cyber hijacking or even extraterrestrial involvement. The tragedy has led to significant changes in aviation tracking and safety protocols, including the implementation of real-time aircraft tracking. 2. Air France Flight 447, lost in the Atlantic. On June 1, 2009, Air France Flight 447 crashed into the Atlantic Ocean during its journey from Rio de Janeiro to Paris. The Airbus A330 encountered severe turbulence while flying through a storm system over the equatorial Atlantic. The flight crew lost control of the aircraft after the autopilot disconnected due to iced-over pitot tubes, which caused unreliable airspeed readings. All 228 people on board perished. Initial search efforts recovered only a small portion of the wreckage and bodies. It wasn't until 2 years later, in 2011, that the main wreckage and the flight recorders were found on the ocean floor at a depth of about 4,000 meters. Analysis of the flight data and cockpit voice recorders revealed that the aircraft entered an aerodynamic stall from which it could not recover. The investigation concluded that a combination of technical malfunction and pilot error was to blame. The pilot's improper handling of the situation led to the aircraft's ultimate demise. The crash of Flight 447 led to significant changes in training and procedures for dealing with high-altitude stalls and the improvement of pitot tube design to prevent similar incidents in the future. 3. TWA Flight 800, explosion over the Atlantic. On July 17, 1996, Trans World Airlines Flight 800 exploded and crashed into the Atlantic Ocean off the coast of Long Island, New York, shortly after takeoff from JFK International Airport. The Boeing 747 was on its way to Paris, France, carrying 230 passengers and crew. All on board were killed instantly when the center fuel tank exploded, causing the aircraft to break apart mid-air. The investigation by the National Transportation Safety Board, NTSB, took 4 years and was one of the most extensive in aviation history. It concluded that a short circuit caused a spark in the center fuel tank, igniting the flammable fuel vapors inside. Contributing factors included aging wiring and the presence of explosive vapor in the nearly empty tank. The tragedy of TWA 800 led to numerous safety improvements in aircraft design and maintenance procedures. New regulations were implemented to reduce the risk of fuel tank explosions, including the use of inerting systems that replace oxygen with non-flammable gases in fuel tanks. Despite the official findings, alternative theories, including those suggesting a missile strike, continue to circulate, though none have been substantiated by evidence. 4. Egypt Air Flight 990, the Red Sea tragedy. On October 31, 1999, Egypt Air Flight 990 plunged into the Atlantic Ocean near Nantucket Island, Massachusetts, killing all 217 people on board. The Boeing 767 was en route from Los Angeles to Cairo, with a stopover in New York. During the flight, the aircraft abruptly descended from its cruising altitude and crashed into the ocean. The investigation led by the NTSB concluded that the crash was a result of deliberate actions by the relief first officer, who was alone in the cockpit at the time of the incident. The cockpit voice recorder captured him uttering a phrase in Arabic that translated to, "I rely on God," before disengaging the autopilot and pushing the aircraft into a dive. However, Egyptian authorities disputed these findings, attributing the crash to mechanical failure. The difference in conclusions led to a diplomatic rift and ongoing debate about the true cause of the disaster. Despite the controversy, the crash of Egypt Air 990 highlighted the importance of cockpit security and crew monitoring, leading to changes in airline policies and procedures to prevent similar occurrences. 5. Alaska Airlines Flight 261, fatal dive into the Pacific. On January 31, 2000, Alaska Airlines Flight 261 crashed into the Pacific Ocean off the coast of California. The MD-83 was traveling from Puerto Vallarta, Mexico to Seattle, Washington, with a planned stop in San Francisco. The aircraft experienced a catastrophic failure in the horizontal stabilizer trim system, which led to an uncontrollable dive into the ocean. All 88 passengers and crew on board were killed. The investigation revealed that improper maintenance procedures had caused excessive wear on the jack screw assembly, a critical component of the stabilizer trim system. This failure resulted in a loss of pitch control, making it impossible for the pilots to maintain stable flight. The NTSB's findings prompted immediate changes in maintenance procedures and stricter oversight of airline maintenance practices. The tragedy of Flight 261 underscored the importance of rigorous aircraft inspection and adherence to safety protocols, leading to improved regulatory standards to enhance the safety of commercial aviation. 6. Lion Air Flight 610, tragedy in the Java Sea. On October 29, 2018, Lion Air Flight 610 crashed into the Java Sea shortly after takeoff from Jakarta, Indonesia. The Boeing 737 MAX 8 encountered problems related to its Maneuvering Characteristics Augmentation System, MCS, which was designed to prevent stalls by automatically adjusting the aircraft's nose down. However, a faulty angle of attack sensor caused the MCS to activate erroneously, pushing the aircraft into a dive. Despite the pilot's efforts to regain control, the system repeatedly forced the nose down, ultimately causing the aircraft to crash into the sea, killing all 189 passengers and crew. The crash prompted an international outcry and led to a worldwide grounding of the Boeing 737 MAX fleet. Investigations revealed that the pilots had not been adequately trained on the new system, and that Boeing had not fully disclosed the potential risks associated with the MCS. The tragedy highlighted significant flaws in the certification process and the need for greater transparency and training in the aviation industry. Boeing undertook extensive modifications to the 737 MAX design, and regulatory bodies implemented more stringent oversight and evaluation procedures to prevent similar accidents in the future. 7. AirAsia Flight 8501, the fatal descent into the Java Sea. On December 28, 2014, AirAsia Flight 8501, an Airbus A320-216, disappeared over the Java Sea during a flight from Surabaya, Indonesia, to Singapore. The aircraft, carrying 155 passengers and 7 crew members, lost contact with air traffic control during a severe thunderstorm and crashed into the sea, killing everyone on board. The search and recovery operation located the wreckage days later, and the investigation revealed that the aircraft had encountered severe weather and suffered a malfunction in the rudder control system. The pilot's attempts to address the malfunction led to the aircraft entering a steep climb, followed by an aerodynamic stall from which it did not recover. The tragedy of Flight 8501 highlighted the dangers of flying in severe weather conditions and the critical importance of proper pilot training and response to aircraft malfunctions. The incident led to recommendations for improved weather forecasting and communication for flights in regions prone to severe weather, as well as enhancements in pilot training for dealing with such emergencies. 8. Korean Air Flight 007, Cold War casualty. On September 1, 1983, Korean Air Flight 007 was shot down by a Soviet fighter jet after straying into prohibited Soviet airspace. The Boeing 747 was on a flight from New York City to Seoul via Anchorage. All 269 passengers and crew on board were killed when the aircraft crashed into the Sea of Japan. The incident occurred during the height of the Cold War and led to a significant escalation of tensions between the United States and the Soviet Union. The Soviet government initially denied involvement, but later admitted that their military had mistaken the civilian aircraft for a U.S. spy plane. The tragedy highlighted the dangers of geopolitical conflicts impacting civilian aviation. Korean Air Flight 007's downing had lasting implications for international aviation safety and political relations. It led to the introduction of new air navigation protocols to prevent accidental incursions into restricted airspace and improved communication and cooperation between countries to enhance the safety of international air travel. 9. Ethiopian Airlines Flight 961, the hijacking and crash. On November 23, 1996, Ethiopian Airlines Flight 961, a Boeing 767-260ER, embarked on a routine flight from Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, to Nairobi, Kenya, carrying 163 passengers and 12 crew members. However, the flight's trajectory took a dramatic turn when 3 Ethiopian men hijacked the aircraft shortly after takeoff, demanding to be flown to Australia. The hijackers were disillusioned asylum seekers who believed that they could find a new life far from their homeland's political strife. They ignored the pilot's warnings that the aircraft did not have enough fuel for such a long journey, insisting on their demands at gunpoint. Captain Leo Labat, faced with a dire situation, attempted to negotiate with the hijackers while trying to conserve as much fuel as possible. Despite his efforts, the fuel gauges steadily dropped, and it became clear that a crash was imminent. The aircraft began to lose power as it approached the Comoros Islands in the Indian Ocean. With no other options left, Captain Abate decided to attempt a water landing, or ditching, near the coast of Grande Comore. The dramatic ditching was recorded by tourists on the beach, capturing the tense moments as the aircraft descended towards the water. The video footage shows the plane striking the ocean surface, causing the fuselage to break apart upon impact. The pilots managed to execute the ditching with remarkable skill, considering the extreme circumstances. However, the force of the crash and the subsequent flooding of the cabin resulted in the tragic loss of 125 lives, including all 3 hijackers. 10. Pan Am Flight 6, Miracle in the Pacific. On October 16, 1956, Pan Am Flight 6, a Boeing 377 Stratocruiser, ditched in the Pacific Ocean after experiencing engine failure on a trans-Pacific flight from Honolulu to San Francisco. The aircraft encountered mechanical issues, losing 2 of its 4 engines. The crew realized they would not reach their destination and prepared for an emergency landing in the ocean. Remarkably, all 31 passengers and crew survived the ditching. The nearby Coast Guard ship Pontchartrain had been tracking the flight and was able to quickly rescue the survivors. The successful ditching and rescue operation were credited to the skill and composure of the flight crew, as well as the robustness of the aircraft design. Pan Am Flight 6's story is often cited as a testament to the effectiveness of emergency procedures and the importance of crew training in crisis situations. The incident led to improvements in ditching protocols and highlighted the need for well-coordinated search and rescue operations to enhance the survivability of oceanic aviation accidents. And so we come to the end of this harrowing journey through the top 10 airplane crashes in the ocean. Each of these tragic events reminds us of the perils of flight and the relentless power of nature. But remember, these stories do not end here. They linger in the shadows of your mind, waiting to be discovered once more. If you enjoyed this experience and want more stories like this, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to join our next adventure into the unknown. Until the next journey, intrepid explorers.